everybody. Welcome to the Straight Outta BS podcast. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. You guys are awesome. Thank you to my Patreon members. Thank you to my Spotify. What is it called? I think it's Spotify for creators or something like that, or like support creators or something on that. No, it was subscriptions. No, listener support on Spotify. Thank you to listener support on Spotify, and thank you to my Patreons, and thank you to everybody that has donated. It was never expected, so anything that I do receive financially or any help that I get is really greatly appreciated. It really touches my heart. So thank you for that. I want to do a moment of silence. Links are in the description for that if you're interested, by the way. I want to do a moment of silence for the person still struggling with intrusive thoughts or like addiction or anything like that. So on the count of 3, I'm going to do a moment of silence. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and I have one more thing to point out before we start. I feel kind of guilty for even plugging this, but people say that I deserve it. You know, I should plug my my donation things. I do have a join button on my YouTube channel now. We got that because it's 500 subscribers, so you now have that as an option to join and support me as well. Not expected, completely appreciated. Just letting you know that it's there on my channel. No worries. And without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest for the day. Go ahead and introduce yourself and where you went and what years.
My name's Michelle Miller, formerly Michelle Waller. I went to Academy at Ivy Ridge. I got there in August of 2003 and took my exit plan in March of 2005.
Okay, and can you walk us through what was happening before you got sent to the program? What led up to it?
So basically, my parents didn't like my behavior. The thing that pushed them over the edge, I suppose, was when I took my uncle's car for a joyride at 2:00 in the morning with my younger cousin. I didn't have a license or anything, and so that, pissed them off. But according to my paperwork and my files, I got sent there because of poor schooling.
Poor what?
Poor schooling. Like,
okay.
my grades and stuff weren't good. I wasn't going to school. So, a host of things. Poor choices.
Did you know you were going to get sent there? Did they show you a picture or anything like that?
So about 2 weeks before I got sent there, my parents sat me down at the table and said that they were sending me to this boarding school and told me about it. And I said, okay, cool. As long as I'm the hell out of your house, I don't care where I go. And then like 2 weeks later, I was taken up to Academy at Ivy Ridge. They took me there. I went willingly because I didn't know what it was. I thought that it was just going to be a better place than home at the time. And it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't anything that I was told it was going to be.
Okay.
Day 2.
What? Go ahead.
So we were supposed to get a Hope Buddy system, and I think day 2 that I was there, someone ran, so we were put on silence, and I didn't really have my second or third day with the Hope Buddy, and just progressively just went downhill from there.
Okay. Do you remember them handing you any sort of physical rule manual, or was it the Hope Buddy's job to show you the rules?
It was the Hope Buddy's job to show us the rules.
Okay.
We were supposed to have 3 days to go over the rules and consequences, and day 1 I had that, but going forward day 2 and 3 I didn't, because we were on complete silence throughout the facility. So
how long after you got there did they put you through your first seminar?
I don't remember. I know it was probably a couple months. Because the feedback, looking through my seminar stuff and looking through some of my files, the feedback that I got was that I didn't participate. Most of the stuff, like most of the point sheets, I got negatives for interactions with staff and peers and attitude and cooperation, and zeros for participation. There was no point. There's no winning at those places. None.
Did you, if you had to make an estimate, how many people or how many girls would you say were there when you got there? How many girls would you say were there when you left? Just like an estimation.
I think in my family alone, we had like between 20 and 25. So probably about that same amount for each family. And I'm not 100%, I don't remember like exactly how many families, but there were probably like between 200 and 300 girls there, give or take, when I got there and when I left.
Okay. And did you go through orientation, discovery, focus? Did you go through those three at first, or was it discovery and focus that you went through?
I went through discovery and focus,
Okay.
and
They must have
then
got rid of orientation by then.
PC1. Although I think a lot of like the farther seminars, like PC1, I went to a few months before I turned 18, and I think that they were doing what they could at that point. I've come to realize that when you are close to turning 18, they will do whatever they can to get you to stay. And that includes putting you on upper level challenges, sending you home for a home pass, and then dropping you when you come back for the dumbest, smallest consequences, so they can tell your parents, oh, well, she screwed up and she's not ready to come home, so she needs to stay, which is bullshit.
Yeah. How long were you there?
I was there from August of 03 to March of 05, so like a year and a half.
Okay. And how was your program? Was it hard? Did you try to get points but always get consequenced? What level did you make it to? Just how was your program?
So within my first couple days, I was frustrated because obviously I was new. I didn't know the rules. I didn't know like all of the stipulations and stuff that were put in place. So I think it was my second day there when we were put on the silence. I got a category 4, cat 4, cat 5 consequence, and was told that I could self it or staff it. And I told them to staff it because fuck that shit, I wasn't filling it out. So I spent quite a bit of time in worksheets in the beginning. But then eventually I did start trying to like work the program as best I could, but it was just not, it was pointless. Like there was no end goal. There was no end in sight. There wasn't like a date that you were going home. There wasn't a roundabout date that you were going home. And when you're constantly being told you're not going home, or, work your program and you're going to do fine, and then you try and then you're, pushed back down, like there's no motivation there to do better. So I spent a good bit of time in worksheets. I think I made it to level 3 on my own, and then was put up on upper levels on a challenge when I was close to turning 18, and then dropped back down. And it sucked. It sucked.
Did they load you up with prescription medications or take you off them?
Mm-mm. No, I didn't. They didn't. I wasn't one that was heavily medicated there. I don't really remember taking any medication while I was there. I mean, I remember requesting to go see doctors and stuff, and they wouldn't fulfill those requests. And the med staff there was shit. The med care there was shit.
Okay. So was that like how it went for most people, or did some people get loaded up with medications? Or kind of just dependent on the person, was it?
I feel like it might have just been dependent on the person. I think that there were quite a few there that were on medications that they didn't need to be on. But again, I can't speak on anyone else's experience, because as things are going along and I'm like seeing what other people went through that I had no idea about, like it's awful. It's awful. And there were a lot of people there that had worse experiences than me. Some of them I saw through those experiences, and some I had no idea until I watched the documentary.
How long after you got there did it take for things to fully sink in and for you to realize, holy crap, what is this place?
I think day 2. Because when we were put on silence, I remember we were in the gym and they were going over why we were on silence, and we weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to do anything. And I think it was Amy said, who wants to go to Jamaica? And I'm like, oh, Jamaica, like that sounds like, so I raised my hand, stupidly, I raised my hand, and my Hope buddy like shoved my arm down and she's like, you don't want to go, you don't want to go. Because I had no idea what Jamaica was. And
Yeah.
Jamaica, when you hear Jamaica, you think a great place, and it wasn't. So I mean, I'm glad that I didn't get sent there, but once we had to like start walking in the box in the gym and pivoting around every corner, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is the point of this? There's nothing like this place. I was told this place was going to help with school. I was told it was going to help with like life experiences and becoming a productive adult and member of society. And like nothing there was any of that. Like nothing there helped any of us in any way become productive members of society. They fucked us.
Definitely. What was the hardest part about being there for you, and how did you deal with it when you were in the program?
I think the hardest part for me was missing my brother's high school graduation, because he has Down syndrome, and that was like a huge milestone for him. And I was up there when he graduated, and they're like, well, you can't come home, and this is all your fault. You know, you put yourself there by your choices. And, you know, he was fed that too. Like, he was fed that it was all my fault that I went there, and there weren't any other choices. And there were. Um, so that was hard, realizing that, like, even if I would have worked my program and gotten all perfect points, which is impossible, I still wouldn't have made it home, you know, for his graduation. And realizing too, I think another thing that was really hard was realizing that it doesn't really have anything to do with you on how fast or slow you move up to different levels, because regardless, once you're past level 2, you need votes from staff and other students. And if you didn't get those votes, you weren't getting up in levels.
Yeah.
And you were stuck where you were. So it wasn't dependent on you and how hard you worked. It was dependent on other people and what lies and bullshit you told people.
Definitely. What was the worst thing that you saw there, or heard about? And what was there anything positive about your experience at all? And it's perfectly fine if there wasn't.
I think some of the worst things that happened while I was there was there was a girl that jumped over the balcony, and that is why the second set of rails are there. And I don't remember what happened to her. I mean, I remember plenty of people trying to run. There was a girl that locked herself in the cleaning supply closet. Not quite sure how she got out of her family, but locked herself in there, and drank cleaning chemicals. And I mean, just the lack of privacy, the lack of respect for us. I mean, we were treated like shit. Like, we had no rights there. The only good thing that came out of that was some of the friends that I made there, were the people that I met there. And I mean, even connecting now with people that I didn't even know while I was there, or who were there before me or after me, like, the support system for all of us is phenomenal. It's amazing. And I think it's helping a lot of us right now get through life, because life isn't normal for us.
No, definitely
Like,
not.
it
Go ahead.
affects so it affects so much of like just daily life. Like, we're not, I mean, I can't speak on other people, but I know, like, for me, I can't keep a job. I get bored really easily. I can't make or keep eye contact with hardly anybody. My anger is ridiculous. I don't like being touched. I don't like really being talked to very much. I mean, when COVID shut the world down, I was happy just staying at home all the time. I was like, yes, this is amazing, because I didn't have to go around and be around people. I didn't have to interact with, you know, anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Is it more the people talking to you, like talking at you, or is it conversation in general?
I think it's a combination of both. Like, I struggle with conversations. with people. I feel awkward. Like I don't feel like I am socially doing what you're supposed to or saying what you're supposed to. And it just, do you know what I'm like? It's just, it's
I know
weird.
exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, you feel like an outcast.
I
You feel like
do.
I feel like I shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Like
And
when
I
I
mean,
meet somebody new, like when I meet somebody new, I just feel like it just feels off. Like unless the person went through like the boarding school that I went through, it essentially just feels off. Like they just don't understand me. They just don't get it.
Well, and they don't, and they can't because they never went through that. And they had parents that loved them and did better for them. I'm not saying people didn't have parents that loved them, but parents that like did more research than what ours did and like got them help and let them be normal teenagers. Like let them just do stupid normal teenage shit and didn't feel the need to send them away.
Yeah,
You know?
I have a go ahead.
And as far as like people talking at me, I get really irritated with that. Like if I feel like someone is directly talking at me and not to me,
Yeah.
that I go into defense mode. And I mean it's not very good.
Well, yeah, we were talked at. People would talk at us in the program. Like they would say, self-correct your whatever the F it was, you know? And talking at you, not talking with you, like talking like this. They're talking at you. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
towards, like kind of like an attack.
Yeah. And I mean I don't like when people are standing over you talking.
Yeah, like an authority, like holding an authoritarian pose while talking to you.
Yeah. And I mean and the career, I mean, so like the career that I'm in now, I do hair and I'm also a licensed educator for cosmetology. And when I was teaching in a classroom, one of the first things that I would do is go up to my students when they were sitting down and just be like, "Oh, hey, so how are you today?" Like nothing mean. I didn't have a nasty tone in my voice, but just to show them that like it does not feel good when someone is standing over you talking at you or talking to you. So they would know not to do that with, you know, the clients and stuff. And it just stupid little things like that that I don't think that other people really think about.
I feel like we
Like,
kind of have a bigger, like I have a bigger bubble, if that
mhm.
makes sense, around me. And I feel like most of us survivors just have a bigger, I can't speak for everybody, but I would say that, you know, I'm definitely probably not alone in the feeling that I have a bigger bubble around me that I don't like people intruding on. Like, for example, there's a certain distance you can get to me where I will just start, I'll walk away or tell you like, back up. Like I need space. Like I can't have you inside my bubble unless I know you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of us are like that.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like a lot of us are like that. Um, I think we have I mean, I have boundary issues. Like there are certain things that other people are fine with that I can't handle. Like normal everyday things that like I can't handle, you
Yeah.
know, and like being in an ethics class, realizing how much touch is important, like just platonic touch that we never got stunted us mentally at a certain age. Do you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
just stunted everything about us.
Yep. We what happened is we just that person froze at that age essentially. So it's like arrested development in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. How much school did you get done? Did your credits transfer at all? Probably not. How was school for you there?
I didn't get much schooling done
Okay.
because we weren't really taught anything. I mean,
Yeah.
we were left our own devices pretty much. Um, did what I could. I was looking at my transcripts the other day, and I mean, they weren't fantastic. I did not graduate high school from there, thankfully. Um, and then, I mean, when I did leave, I had to figure out school on my own. You know, because I was 18, I went to two other high schools and then found an adult alternative education place that I could actually get a diploma from. Um, and then going to the cosmetology school I went to, they have a list. They actually have a list of schools in the country that they are not allowed to accept high school diplomas from. And I was looking over that list, and Academy at Ivy Ridge was on that list. And I was like, oh, hey, I went there. That place sucked.
Yeah. At least they have them on the list. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thankful that I didn't graduate from there in either fashion, either the program or school. But, like, it's really shitty for those that did.
Yeah, definitely. Did you ever become junior staff at all? Probably not, because you said level 3, right?
No, never was.
Did you see favoritism by the staff and
Yeah.
students? Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit?
It was big. I feel like they picked certain people that I don't even know. Like, it just, like, I remember when I was talking about taking my exit plan, one of the upper levels was like, you shouldn't take it. You should stay here. Like, this is a great place. And I'm like, why are you encouraging people to stay? Like, this is not a great place. This is not okay. This is not anywhere that anybody should be. And I would rather take my exit plan and risk being homeless than stay here. Like, it's insane. And seeing some of, the upper levels, I mean, they worked for it. Obviously they worked for it and they earned their spot on upper levels. But, seeing the activities that they did and now realizing from the documentary that they were all publicity stunts. Like, it's kind of nice not making it to that point, because I feel like they unknowingly participated in other parents sending their kids there, because they're on these brochures and these pamphlets and these articles and stuff like, oh, look how much fun it is here. And it wasn't their fault. It's not their fault at all.
Yeah, they were just brainwashed as everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a reward for them, and good for them. Lord knows they all deserve that reward for, making it that far, because it was hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't imagine how they feel now, seeing that it was all just done for show and it wasn't even done to, like, reward them for the work that they put in.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, including myself, and I even went out of my way to, like, try and, like, protect people that were getting picked on, because by the time I got on upper levels, I'd been there a year and I rebelled my first full year. We're to the point where they threatened me with Jamaica without telling my parents. And so then I was like, okay, well, then, I'll just do whatever you tell me to do then. I don't want to go there. So after I got into the upper levels, I knew what it was like to just feel hopeless and get consequenced and get, like, the spotlight put on them, and then just all the consequences go towards them and get targeted and all that stuff. So people that I saw with that, I just, like, protect them. And then if they got consequence, whoever consequenced them can self-correct their major disrespect for targeting another person. So I would kind of play it back on people. But I still deal with guilt from it.
Like, I don't feel like it was like that on the girls' side. Like, upper levels seemed to, certain ones seemed to be okay with giving consequences and giving corrections. And as mad as it would make me then, because I'm like, that's stupid. Like, we didn't even do anything wrong. I didn't even do anything wrong. What the hell does this even matter? Looking back on it now, I think that that's one of those things that you don't realize until you're an adult and you're out of that situation, and, like, you have that somewhat clear headspace to, like, look back and be like, well, they were in the same shitty situation that we were in. Like, it was eat or be eaten. Like, it was, you had to look out for yourself. And if you looked out for other people, they saw that shit as a weakness. And then they dropped too, and they would lose everything that they worked for. So I think, as mad as I was when I was there, looking at it now, I'm like, I don't blame them. I don't blame any of them.
Yeah. And I don't think, and I should take my own advice, but I don't think we should beat each other up as much as we do. But, because we couldn't have control over the situation. We did to a degree, but there's only so much you really could have done. Because what are you going to do? Stop giving consequences and then get consequence yourself?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's just, it's a shitty revolving cycle that they put in place. And I feel like a lot of the times when the upper levels would have to dish out, corrections, that was the staff were using them as scapegoats. Like, oh, well, go give them this correction so that way it wouldn't look bad on the staff, or the student wouldn't be mad at the staff. They would be mad at the upper level and be pissed off at them. And they're mad at the wrong. We were all mad at the wrong people.
I think it was by design in that way, to have everybody against each other. You know what I mean? And just like not able, just feeling like I can't trust him because he might go tell somebody else that I did this, or just like if I consequence him, he might, retaliate in some way, shape, or form. So you never knew who was going to do what, and people were just unpredictable. And I think it was built that way by design.
It had to have been.
Yeah.
They purposely pitted everybody against each other. And it was, I mean, there was no way out. There was no winning for anybody in that situation.
After walk us through you getting pulled that day. What do you remember about that?
So I turned 18 in December of 2004 and stayed until March because they had put me on that upper level challenge, and I got to go on the home path and then come back. And, once I was dropped and realized that there was no coming back from that they did that as a bullshit thing to get my parents to really enforce me staying. I told them I wanted to take my exit plan. And so they contacted my parents and they put me in isolation for 3 days. Like, no reason. They told me they didn't want me running. And I'm like, I'm going home in 3 days. What am I going to run for? Like, and I can't run anyway. Let's be real. And so they put me in isolation for 3 days. And like, even at night, they would have me sleep in, there was like a room at the end of the dorms that was like dark and didn't have any like actual beds in it. And it was just, I guess, I don't know, it was like a catch-all room or whatever. And I had to sleep in there for 3 nights. Well, for 2 nights, because they put me in isolation. And then like Finlayson came in and like screamed at me and told me that I was going to be nothing and amount to nothing. And he was just a dick. He was just a complete and utter dick. Pretty sure that was a tactic to try to get me to change my mind. But at that point, I was like, no, give me my bus ticket and my $30. I'm going home, not home, but home.
Yeah.
And when I got to the bus station in New York City, I called my friend and I was like, hey, I'm coming home. I'm not allowed to go home. Can I stay with you and your family? And so her and her dad actually came and picked me up from the bus station at 2:00. And I stayed with them. It was very nice. I stayed with them for a short period of time and then house hopped for probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 months. Moved back home and was there for a month or two, and then met my son's sperm donor and moved in with him, and lived in, while it was a shitty situation, it was a fun situation. It lived with him for 8, 9 months, and then found out I was pregnant and stuff, and then moved back home. But it was just, I haven't been able to keep things, I guess, like steady like a normal adult. Like, I always want to move around. I can't keep a job. I can't, I struggle to keep friendships and maintain healthy relationships. I mean, I've been married for almost 17 years, but that's been a challenge for both of us because of issues and problems that I have. Raising the kids has been hard because of it.
Didn't you say you struggled with were you the one that said you struggled with your kid recently, or was that somebody else?
No, that was me. So my son, he is 17, and we have been in 3 trips to crisis. He's done 1 inpatient at a mental health facility, a couple hours away from where we live, and he has done 2 partial programs. And it just, like, none of it none of it worked, and he progressively got worse and worse and worse. And last year it got really, really bad to the point that I was like, we can't have this in our home. We can't have his choices and behaviors and things that he's bringing into our home in our home, because we do have an 11-year-old daughter who we needed to protect as well. So I knew that he needed more care than what we could give him. I knew that he needed more help than what we could give him. And sending him to a place like Ivy Ridge or any place like that was not an option. Like, not an option. I had done a lot of research on like dual diagnosis treatment facilities.
Yeah.
Because the mental health aspect, I mean, he was medicated, he was going to therapy, he was doing the partial, and none of that helped. So like sending him to another mental health facility was not a viable choice. So he needed dual diagnosis because he also had substance use problems that were getting worse. And I found a place. So I found a place in Maryland based out of Colorado, and it's a treatment facility, but it's not like a lockdown facility. They had a whole bunch of different rules that were partially why I sent him. Well, were why I sent him there, because it wasn't anything like Ivy Ridge. And the places that insurance wanted me to send him to were garbage, and I didn't trust them, and they lied to me. I caught them in lies multiple times. I actually had a lady from the one place in New Hampshire say, well, I can come pick him up on Thursday. And I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Like, if you show up at my house on Thursday, it's not going to end well for you, because I don't know who you are, and I'm not going to let you take my kid.
Yeah.
And insurance, because the place that we sent him to, well, the place that he went to, I don't want to say sent because it makes it seem like we did to him what was done to us, but the place that he went to is really good. They have actual houses. They own like a whole cul-de-sac, and it's actual houses. The houses aren't locked. They don't lose, like, they don't have any like strip searches or anything like that.
Did you go there at all?
We went there. We went there when we took him there. But prior to that, I had looked at everything online, and we had discussed that, like, if it wasn't a good fit or we weren't comfortable, we weren't going to leave him there.
Yeah.
He was allowed to have all of his regular clothes. We got 2 15-minute phone calls a week, starting 3 days after. They have that 72-hour period where it's like an adjustment period. But after that, it was 2 15-minute phone calls every week, not monitored, not, he could tell us whatever he wanted to. And then we had an hour family therapy session each week on Zoom. So like we could physically like see him.
Okay.
And there were issues with him and one of the other kids, like probably 2 weeks in when a new kid went there. And they dealt with that. They dealt with it appropriately. They have a hands-off policy. They're not allowed to touch the kids at all there.
Good.
Because I said to him, I was like, well, what do you do if kids act out? And they're like, we have a hands-off policy. We are not allowed to touch them. I said, okay, what if they leave? Like, what if they run away? Like, what if they don't want to be here anymore and they leave? And he said, the only thing that we can do is follow them and try to convince them to come back. And if they don't, then we have to call their parents and call law enforcement, for their parents to like come and get them, because we can't touch them.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So they couldn't physically touch the kids, which was good. They got to keep their own clothes. They got to make their own choices. I mean, within reason. They had activities there from the start. Like, my son discovered that he loves boxing. So, we're getting him into boxing.
Good outlet too. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, they actually care about they care about aftercare. If you need help getting that stuff set up. They were also out of network with our insurance, but because I was hell-bent on having him go to that specific place because of how they were and their results that they got. Um, they helped me fight insurance to get it to be a single case agreement to get him to go there for the cost of insurance, like what we would pay for, any other place. Um, so just things like that. And I mean, it's a 45 to 60-day program.
Okay.
So like if they would have been like, well, we're going to keep him until he's ready to come home. I mean, that would not have been, we wouldn't have put him there. We wouldn't have let him go there.
Yeah.
I mean, and we talked to him and, at phone calls, like we asked him, how are you doing? How are the staff? Like things that we weren't allowed to talk about at Ivy Ridge,
Yeah.
you know? So, I mean, and he's doing a lot better since he's been home. He was there for 40 days. Um, but I think as parents, it's really important because we are scarred. We are broken. And I think that a lot of us are probably scared to get our kids the help that they deserve and need because of our shitty experience.
Definitely.
So
It sounds like this is more like a dual diagnosis rehab. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, dual diagnosis is usually pretty good, but still you want to do your research. Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that's what we did. Like the insurance company was trying to just get us to send him to anywhere. And I'm like, did you even call these places? Like, no, these aren't what he needs. And like, the thing is, insurance doesn't care. Like, the people who refer parents to places to send their kids, like, they don't care. We all know they get kickbacks from it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think, someone said that all problems can be dealt with at home. And I'm like, not all problems can be dealt with at home, and that's okay. We just have to find the appropriate place. And it shouldn't be as hard as what it is to get our kids help. It shouldn't have been as hard for our parents to get us help. They shouldn't have had to ship us off to these horrible places.
Definitely not. When you got pulled, what was the hardest part about reintegrating into society for you because of Ivy Ridge? What have you struggled with the most?
Um, I think talking to people, having those relationships and friendships with people, um, and just being scared in general that like you're gonna lose everything that you have or that you're gonna go back there. Even though I knew that I couldn't go back there because I was over 18. I took my exit plan. There was 0% chance of me going back there. But like everything in life was just for the longest time, it was like, oh shit, am I gonna go back? Oh shit, like I have too many of this, or oh, I can't do that, or I'm not gonna use the ketchup because I don't want to get in trouble if the household runs out. Do you know what I mean? Like stupid
Yeah.
little things that mean nothing,
Yeah.
mean absolutely nothing in the real world and don't help shape you into a decent human being. Just
Yeah.
integrating into every aspect of society, it sucked. It was hard.
Okay. If you could go back in a time machine and not go through Ivy Ridge, knowing what you know now, would you do it and why?
That's hard. That's hard. Um, I'm gonna say yes, I would
Okay.
because, because I've met some pretty amazing people there who are lifelong friends. Um, as well as it was able to help me make informed choices and get the appropriate help for my own child so he didn't have to go to a place like that. Like it helped make better choices for my kids because I
Okay.
knew what I wouldn't allow and what was not okay.
Okay. And where are you with your parents? Have you talked to your parents about how this affected you? Have you tried to get them to watch the program? Have they watched it? Do you think you could ever forgive your parents? I've forgiven my parents, but I'll never forget what they did to me.
So for the past 19 years, I have tried repeatedly to tell my parents things that have happened there and how traumatized I am and how it's affected everyday life. And they have laughed at me. They have made jokes about it. My dad made a joke about that place at my daughter's first birthday party because I forgot the knife to cut her cake, and he laughed about it. And he's like, "Oh, well, there's a plastic knife. You should be used to it since it's all you could use for the last whatever year and a half." And I'm like, "That's not funny or appropriate. Like, why would you like that? That's not okay." Um, they told me that I was lying. They didn't believe me. And when the documentary came out, I had asked them to watch it. I texted my mom and asked her and dad to watch it, and she said that they would. And then Tuesday when it came out, I watched it and I was not okay. And I texted her and I said, "Did you and dad watch it yet?" And she said no. So I sent her this long text message about how it was affecting me. And I was like, I guess that I assumed that it would be important to you because it was important to me, but I guess I'm wrong. And then that Saturday, I think they watched it, and Sunday she texted me and she's like, "Your dad and I watched it and we're really sorry." So she apologized for both of them. I still haven't heard directly from my dad. We haven't sat down and talked about it because I still don't think that I'm very comfortable approaching it after all the ways that it went bad in the past. Um, I mean, I saw my mom the other day to color Easter eggs, and it was weird. Like, it was weird. I avoided her. Um, I got an apology, and that's what I wanted. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, all I
Yeah.
wanted for the last 19 years was an apology and acknowledgement. And I got that from my mom on behalf of both of them. Um, and I thought that that would be sufficient. And it is. It is. I don't want anything else from them, but it's still hard because I want to see changed behavior too, and like actual acknowledgement of being there and how it has affected me, and things even before the program. um I'm on the fence of full forgiveness
Fine.
based on how the future goes. Because I mean, after I didn't get the response that I was hoping for, originally I was ready to cut them off because I was like, well, clearly this isn't important enough for them. um but I haven't cut them off because they did watch it and she did apologize. So, like, halfway forgiven at this point. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard situation and feeling to be in.
And what do you think you needed instead of being sent away? What do you think would have helped you?
I think more positive attention, because a lot of the stuff that I did was for attention because I was lacking attention, especially attention from my dad. Um, and I think had he played a more positive role and given more attention and been there more, things probably would have been different. Had he not been such an angry person, I think things would have been different. I don't know for sure, but you know, I just needed more attention.
Okay. And knowing what you know now, is it your belief that these remaining schools should or even could be fully regulated, or is it your belief that they should all just be shut down?
I think that they should all just be shut down.
Okay.
I think that it's never going to be regulated in the way that it should be. I think that those places should be shut down. And I think that the places that are open, that are actual treatment facilities and not programs, not wilderness programs, um, I think places like that should be more readily available. Or I think that people who have went to those schools should get together and open them and give the teens and kids what they need and run it completely different, because clearly the people involved have no souls and don't give a flying fuck about the kids there and their care.
Mhm.
If they were, they would be honest and not allow people to send their kids there. They wouldn't treat the kids like shit.
Totally agree. Is there anything else you want people to know about your experience, or that you might tell a parent thinking about sending their kid to a place like this?
If you're thinking about sending your kid to a place like this, rethink that. It's going to change their entire life. It's going to absolutely change your relationship with them. It's going to create trust issues and so many other lifelong issues and problems. There is help out there, the right help. You just got to do the research and not let other people persuade you into where to send your child to. Doing research and getting them into an appropriate treatment is doable. It's hard, but it's doable and it's worth the fight. It's not, just don't give up on your kids. Love your kids through whatever and meet them where they are.
Totally agree. And if you ever want to do a part 2, if things come up after this, then just what I have people do is make a list, and then we can do a part 2. So just let me know.
Cool.
And no problem. And if you watch this far in the video, please make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're not already, and share. Let's get these places shut down. And thank you so much. We will catch you on the next one. Bye.
Good one. Bye.